Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question is from Mark in North Carolina. And Mark asks, how do I get customers to pay attention to me? I often feel like I'm going through the process, but they just aren't paying attention or they're often distracted by something else. That is a great question. Man, that is frustrating. I hate it when I'm talking and the person I'm talking to isn't listening to me. And I have young kids, so this happens a lot. And so I know how frustrating that can be, even more frustrating with a customer because my livelihood depends on this. So to start off, there's a lot that could be going on here. And if I, like a doctor, properly was going to diagnose this, really what I would do is I'd ride along. So ideally in a ride along, I'd be able to see like what's happening, what's working, what's not working. And I don't exactly know without doing a ride along, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this opportunity to go over a number of reasons and strategies that I see in the field that cause this and what you can do about them. So I'll go over some common ones, but we may want to jump on a call or schedule a ride along to really get to the heart of this. So the first thing I would say is setting the expectation that they are coming with you, that they will be part of this process. This is where I see salespeople miss a lot, that we don't properly utilize that visual agenda up front, set that agenda with the customer and set the tone that they are coming with, that I need them to come with because I'm going to ask them questions. And I'm not asking them to come with. I'm not saying they can come with if they want to. I'm telling them, I'm respectfully telling them, I'm going to need you to come with because I'm going to have questions for you. You can do that. You can say that respectfully and just set that tone that they have to come with. And if they come with, well, then I have to engage them in the process. A salesperson I rode along with in Michigan, he was wonderful at involving them in the process. He would set that tone that you're going to come with. I got questions for you. But then he would ask them questions and he would have them do things as they dove into the system. This was an HVAC salesperson. And he would say things like, now, when we open this up, what I don't want to see is rust, dust, mold, moisture. And then he would have the customer actually open it up. And that lady, when she saw all the dust and cobwebs that were in there, she looked at him like, oh my God, what are we going to do? That's exactly how you want to do this. You want them to be part of the process here. You want them to be finding the challenges because when they find the challenges, they're going to be much more interested in finding a solution. And they're going to look to you. How do I solve this? What do I do about this? And so one, we got to set the tone that they're coming with, but two, we have to engage them that they have something to do in this as well. Because when you don't engage them, that's when they get bored and it falls apart. I'm also a youth wrestling coach. And some of these kids are pretty young and they got pretty short attention spans. And when we're going over a wrestling move or something, I have to engage them because they're not going to sit there very long and listen to me. It's the same thing with adults. We have to keep them engaged or else they're going to get bored. They're going to get on their phones. They're going to find something else to do. And so set the tone that they're coming with, but then engage them, educate them. They're going to be more likely to be interested in what you have to say and move forward. And so avoid, though, the wishy-washy engaging. And so what I see often in the field is, well, you can come with if you want, or you're always welcome to come with. That's not really telling them they're coming with. You can respectfully say, I'm going to need you to come with. I'm going to have questions for you. You live here. So that's the first one. Set the expectation they're coming with you. The second big opportunity, and I want to be delicate with this. I want to be respectful. Don't be boring. And I mean this in a kind way, but just don't be boring. We have to be engaging. There's different personality types out there. So customers have different personality types of, some are more monotone, some are more exciting, and we have to gauge where they're at and how they like to receive information. But there's also, from the salesperson side, different personalities. I've seen some salespeople that are completely over the top, and I've seen others that are super monotone, super quiet and not a lot of expression. And they may be doing the process exactly like to a T. They might be doing the process, but they're missing that art piece of it. They're missing that engaging part of it. I had years ago, I had a trainer, a sales trainer that I coached, and he did all the right things. Like he prepared a lesson, he was organized, but the problem was people didn't really pay attention during his trainings. And everything he said, like if I had wrote it down and you just read it, you'd have been like, yeah, he's saying everything right. But it was the atmosphere of his delivery. He was more monotone, more quiet. And so you gotta, I mean, basically, he was kind of boring. He was a great guy. I like him, but he was kind of boring to listen to, and so people tuned out. And unfortunately, the world we live in is if we want sales, we have to engage people. We have to get them to want to pay attention to us. And in his case, a training, that's what he was selling, right? He's training, he's delivering information. If I want them to receive that information, I have to be engaging enough that they want that information, that they're paying attention. And so have to pay attention to a whole host of things like your tone, your inflection, open-ended questions. Are you engaging them through those questions and not doing all the talking? Nobody likes being talked at. Facial expressions, smile, body language, animation, arm movement. Like there's a ton of things that tie into this. We all know engaging speakers. Like you've seen those engaging speakers or trainers or salespeople or anybody in your life that just when they're talking, you're listening, you're hanging on to every word. And we all know the opposite too. The ones that are boring and we just kind of tune out real quick. Does anybody remember Ben Stein, like uh, Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Bueller. Like we know engaging and unengaging. So we have to deliver it in a way that we are engaging. Now, my third tip would be you have to be a bit of a psychologist, meaning you have to engage customers how they want to be engaged, right? And so I may have to step out of my normal personality and either ramp myself up a little bit or pull myself back a little bit. One of my favorite stories is I was riding along with a salesperson from a company. We went to this house, and this lady, she was lovely, but she was nutty. Like, man, she was all over the place, just nutty. She could not pay attention for more than like 5 seconds at a time. And in fact, she had a cracked heat exchanger and they had tagged her system. And so like this was a serious issue. Like she had to do something about this, right? Like nobody wants gas leaking into their house, but she did not want to talk about this whatsoever. And so she was like finding all these other things to talk about rather than the system. And it was about Halloween time. So she was like in the middle of pulling her Halloween decorations out. So she's like going through these as the salesperson is trying to engage her and talk. And what I did, because I was riding along, now normally I don't engage too much in a call, and I definitely don't take the call over, but I saw an opportunity to just have some fun with her, right? And so there was some decorations in her crawl space of her house. I crawled under there because I could get there easier. I pulled them out for her. I was helping her, right? And as she's pulling them out, she was kind of joking with them. She had like this dancing skeleton. And I hate to admit this, but as the dancing skeleton was dancing and playing the Monster Mash, like she wanted to dance. And she literally said, "Get up and dance with me, guys." And the salesperson was like, no, I'm okay. I did it. I got up and danced with her in the living room. And I'm not like a boisterous personality. That is not normal for me to just get up and dance with a stranger in their living room. But I did it because she was having fun and it was fun, right? She was a fun lady. And so what we did though is like with that kind of personality where she's so fun, she's amped up to 11. Like we have to try to match that and have fun with her. Have fun with this process, but then circle back to moments where we can talk about the business at hand in small doses, right? So we're meeting her where she's at. She doesn't want to sit through this long presentation. She doesn't want to talk about all this negative stuff, but she does need to get it done. And so have fun and then circle back. Have fun and then circle back. Have fun, circle back. So you got to meet people where they're at. Funny thing about that, at the end of the call too, the salesperson had it in his notes that when she called in, she had noted she only had 30 minutes for the call. And he asked about that. And she goes, "Oh, well, I didn't know if I'd like you guys or not. So I just said that in case I wanted to kick you out." But here she had so much fun with us that the call went about 2 hours. She ended up doing business with us and we moved on because we met her where she was at. Now I've seen other customers that are much more monotone. And if you're too over the top, too exciting, too engaging, like you're going to freak those people out a little bit. And so sometimes you got to bring it down to how they like to receive information. So tip 3, you got to be a psychologist. You have to engage customers how they want to be engaged. Meet them where they're at. All right, number 4, dogs and kids. I see this one a lot. There's a dog that really likes you and wants your attention and is like, it's probably a big dog, like knocking stuff over, or maybe it's barking a lot or something like that. Or just kids. Kids are very interested in you and bouncing around the house and whatever. So best thing you can do for like dogs or kids, be prepared and time this just right. So here's what I mean. The most important part where I want to time this is during the presentation. That is the time where I definitely want the customer's attention. I want them paying attention. I want them walking through the options. I want them asking questions so we can find a solution and move forward. That's the opportune time. And so what I'm going to be prepared with, if we're talking about dogs, I'm going to have like dog treats or dog toys, something. I'm going to have something in my bag specifically for these situations. And maybe your company even has like a little branded dog toy or something like that. That's perfect. But this is the time right before my presentation. I'll get out the squeak toy and give it to the dog because that will entertain the dog for 5 or 10 minutes so I can do my presentation or the treat. I would say have both because some people are leery about strangers giving their dogs treats or maybe the dog's on a special diet. So then I got the dog toy, right? But a treat or a toy, give it to the dog right before the presentation. With kids, a coloring book and crayons, right? And so just have, like as a company, you can purchase a bunch of cheap coloring books, right? And cheap little packs of crayons. Have those with you. And right before that presentation, that's when I'm going to pull out the coloring book and the crayons. And I'm going to say, "Hey, sport, you want a coloring book? Here you go." That's going to entertain the kids. It's going to give me that 10 minutes so that I can present to the customer. And as a parent myself, I'm just thankful my kid is happy. I'm thankful that I get a break, a mental break. I'm thankful that I can focus on an adult conversation without somebody tugging at me, something like that. And when my kid is happy, I'm happy. And now we can like focus on business at hand and figure this out. So for dogs, kids, be prepared, but then time it right with that presentation. All right, so the 5th one, and this is probably the most common one. I saved this one for the end, the Zoom call, right? They're on a work call, they're working from home, and they're in the middle of a Zoom call. So they just say, "Hey, furnace is over there, I'll be on this call," right? So there's a couple of things that we want to do with this one to set it up right, but also where we want to stand our ground. So the first thing is, as a company, make sure we're setting that expectation up front. So when we book this call, we're setting an expectation that so-and-so is going to be out at your home. They're going to be there 1 to 2 hours. They're going to need you available and with, right? Like we want to set that expectation up front. And most times when I dive into this, companies are doing that. But then it's still customer, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other, and they jump on a work call, right? But that's the first place I would check. Make sure as a company, we're setting the expectation up front. Second thing, as a salesperson, be on time, right? So whatever time it is you're supposed to be there, be on time. Because if I'm late, yeah, it's gonna start running into their work calls and stuff. They probably blocked some time off, and now I'm running into their work calls. So if I'm not on time, I'm at risk of losing this myself. Then when you get there, set that expectation when you're going over your visual agenda. And I talked about this at the beginning, I'm going to need you to come with, because I have questions for you. You live here, right? So set that expectation in your agenda. Through all of these things, this should eliminate most of that they're available because they've been told a couple of times they need to be available for this, right? And so that should eliminate a lot of it. But for the ones that it doesn't yet, and they're like, "Yeah, I got to bounce onto a work call. Just give me the numbers when you're done." Stick to your guns. You're going to give them an either or option. You're going to say something like, well, actually, I do really need you to come with because I have a lot of questions for you. Would we be able to either free up now or schedule a time to come back? Which would work better for you? Give them that either or. Do you have time to free up now or should we schedule a time to come back? And stick to your guns. Because here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want you to run this call by yourself without the customer. Because if you're priced right, you should be, if you're priced right, you're going to be the highest price. You're going to be higher than your competitors. Okay. You need to build that value. To build that value, you need that customer to come with. Because if not, they are not going to see the value in you, the company, your solutions. You're going to be another number on a sheet of paper. And spoiler alert, you'll be the highest number. And there will be no value built in any of this, and they're not going to pick your number. So you're wasting your time if you're running this call without the customer. So set it up that they're coming with, but when it comes down to it, offer them that either or and stick to your guns. I really do need you to come with because I got a lot of questions for you. You live here. So would it work to free up now, or should we schedule a time to come back? It's amazing how many times the customer then will say, all right, give me 2 minutes. Let me reschedule this and I'll be right back. And they free up because they want to get this done too. So those are my 5 tips. How do I be engaging with the customer? How do I get customers to listen to me? These are 5 common ways that customers are distracted from us, but strategies that we can get customers to listen to us. That's today's question of the day. If you're enjoying question of the day, follow, share, and give a rating. Question of the day is on major streaming platforms. If you have a question, reach out to me either on social media or email. Both are going to be listed below in the show description. Let's get it answered. And if you're a Nexstar member, schedule a call with me. Let's address this one-on-one. Or like in this person's case, I'd love to ride along with you. I would love to see what's happening in the field so we can figure out a better solution. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.